What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over my trade recap. Today, which is February 24th. February the 24th. 3 trades today. 2 of them break even. One of them a win. Made over, I think, $900 on the account. Here, I'll go to right here. 472 across 2, so a little over 900. And here I'll show you guys my executions. This trade here ended up hitting break even. Then we took this second trade right here after we had inversed this. So boom. Took it right here after this inverse. And then that hit break even. Targeting this. And then this trade, which hit. So, I mean, overall, pretty honestly, I feel like an easy day to win today. Primarily just because like there were so many good setups that you could have taken, and I'll pretty much go over all of them, talk about why they all pretty much won. I feel like everything that you could have taken today either hit break even or won. So coming into the day, I was honestly on the lower time frames bearish, just because this was like the start of market. Like we started open here, right here, and just like this was just, we were like, order flow was bearish on the lower time frames, yet on the higher time frames we had like inverse this gap. I believe, yeah, we inversed this gap at like last night, right? So we had inversed this gap, but on the higher time frames we were bullish. Okay, the reason I was also lower on the lower time frames was because we had stack equal lows, which were London lows right here. Then we had this low here, and then we also had this low here. So I really honestly would have rathered take something like this, where we shot straight up, inversed it, caught a retrace, and then targeted these lows here. But that actually didn't end up happening, simply because Nick called this out perfectly in the free BG trading in our Discord, the free daily biases. He said realistically they'll most likely get shot at straight up market open. That's what happened. So a lot of scalpers actually took this trade. I didn't, because I want to see a clear entry, and a lot of people also took this, right? So we had this 15-minute inverse, and then the reason I primarily didn't take this was, okay, you could have taken it honestly after this 5-minute close, but since we were in a 15-minute bearish gap, if I didn't like this entry primarily here, like enter here, stops here, and then targeting like this high, because I didn't like this high like as much, just because the RR was so massive on it, and I wasn't truly gonna take this trade off of just the 5-minute, because again we were leaning bearish. This could have just been a retracement and then continuing lower, but I did like this trade. Okay, so I did like this trade, which was, right, we inversed all of these 5 minutes, and I didn't want to take that high RR trade. I wanted to take more of like a scalper type of trade, just like a shorter, smaller type of move. So I took this, and usually a lot of times once we have like this big displacement candle, we shouldn't honestly see price like retracing coming into drawdown at all. That's kind of what happened here. I saw this push, but since we had opened up a 15-minute bullish gap on the right here, since we had opened up this gap here, I literally went break even at the 15-minute candle closure. So I wanted to, because I was like, bro, we could retrace into the gap and then we could still continue higher, which is not something I wanted to take. So went break even as we were like here, got stopped out break even. Boom. We created this high though. Keep that in mind, right? On this move down to the retracement, this was a beautiful retrace into the 15-minute time frame. And once we see the retrace again, what I'm looking for is just a retracement into some type of gap. We saw that retracement, looking for the highest time frame inversion, right? Something, change the state of delivery, whatever it is, entry. Okay, that's what it is, right? So we tapped into this gap right here. We actually formed a BPR right here. See how we tapped into this with this candle here? Let me make my mouse bigger. I guess not. But after we saw that tap, right, I was just really looking to look for longs. We kind of had nothing, and I was kind of trying to snipe this entry, which wasn't the best of moves, and I'll tell you guys why. Okay, so here, bro, I hate when I do this. All right, we had this 1-minute inversion, and at the time, this was the highest time frame inverse, this one. And since we inversed this, right, we had this gap here, but I was like, if we go to this gap, I'll just go break even then. So I waited, right? We inverse this, and then we created a 3-minute gap, right? After that inverse, because I was in a little bit of drawdown. After that inverse, we created this 3-minute gap, or no, we created a 2-minute. What was it? It was either a 2-minute or a 1-minute then, but I just know we created a bearish gap. No, it must have been the 1 minute. Okay, all right, cool then. So yeah. Okay, so I entered, right, and I really like this because I was like, we have a retrace. This is currently the highest time frame inverse. So I was kind of trying to snipe this trade, but since we had this right here, I just went break even once we hit that gap, and yeah, break even again. All right, but what we ended up playing out was this 5-minute bearish gap right here. This is what, or no, actually, I believe we tapped into the 5-minute bearish gap. Yeah, we tapped into the bearish gap. That's why I went break even. So we had this gap here, and this gap was purposeful for many reasons. Okay, now we have a true high time frame gap, and when we have this high time frame gap and we close like this, okay, when we close like this, barely, like right there, I'm taking this trade almost 9 times out of 10, simply because I see this play out where we close right under the gap, and then imagine you want to enter off of the next 5-minute. The next 5-minute that truly injures this would be here, okay? And I'm not trying to take a 0.2 or trade, all right? I'm trying to take the setup, and I really like this because we had the high time frame inversion. We had, I believe, no, we didn't have an SMT, but we had the inversion. Everything was looking bullish on the higher time frames. We had a 5-minute inverse, or kind of, and everything was just pointing bearish, or bullish. So even if I lost this trade, I truly wouldn't have been that mad because I really did follow my rules on this one. And to be honest, we kind of went into literally crazy drawdown. I don't know why this retrace happened, to be honest. I remember I was sitting in class right here, and I just saw this Drake candle to the downside, and I was like, bro, it's so done for. But once we saw these candles right here, I was like, oh, we got hope. And then we had this Drake to the upside, and then we just kept pushing higher, okay? And then that's pretty much it. And banged out TP. This was gonna be just, once we take out this level, I was like, I'm gonna trail heavy, but as you guys see, we took it out all in one candle. A lot of people could have been actually targeting this previous day high, which was this right here. The reason I did not target this was because I don't like when we leave a big wick like this, meaning like this wick here. Sometimes we like to tap into it. If you guys know what a rejection block is, we tap into it and then we reverse off of that level. Or we simply, like, we could take this and then we come like in a random spot and then we reverse off of that. I've seen it play out. So I wanted to be safe than sorry. Took it right here. But I mean, I guess you could have extended your TP to here. Still would have ended up hitting. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I feel like there's a lot of setups that you could have taken today, and most of them would have honestly hit. So that's it. Made around $900 across 2 accounts as I guys showed you right here. Boom. And then yeah. So without further ado, I'll catch you all boys in the next video. Have a great one and peace out.